we have a guest.
What?
Yo, come
Maria
in.
Qamar, it's great to have you.
Come in, Maria. Where
Is
you
she
at?
around? I don't know.
Hey, what's
Hey,
up?
Maria.
Hi.
Hey, thank you for coming and chilling
Oh my
with
God,
us.
thanks
for having me.
Whoa.
Thanks for coming.
Oh my goodness, this is very, very exciting.
Alrighty, so Maria has a background in art. She's an artist, does a lot of cool stuff. She's kind of internet famous. She's at Hate Copy. So Maria, I have some questions for you. Are you ready for them?
I think so.
All right, let's get into it. So, you know, I don't assume you started in art. So how did you get into art, and especially this type of art?
So when I was in high school, you know, in grade 11, you get to pick your own courses. So I was like, okay, I want to be an artist. I want to pick all the art courses. And my parents, who are very traditional, you know, they're both scientists. They've been scientists for over 35 years. And they were like, absolutely no. So they went to the school and they changed all my courses to business. So I actually wasn't allowed to go into the arts. So I figured, okay, what's the best way for me to cheat this so I can get into the arts like after I graduate? I ended up going into advertising and became a copywriter. And copywriters are people that write commercials for a living. So for a couple of years after graduating college, I basically sold toilet paper. Like I wrote jingles and I wrote, you know, advertisement for beer brands and things like that.
Did you ever feel like a personal connection to a brand you were selling? Like, did you only use one type of toilet paper? Or?
Only when they gave me free toilet paper. Yeah, a lot of. I mean, I wrote commercial. Like the funniest part of the entire career, and that's when I kind of knew I was kind of over it. Was when I was writing a jingle for a coffee shop.
And you're like, this is lit. This is where it's at.
This is what my life is now. I'm writing jingles. This is great.
Okay, so you wrote a book, very good book, if I can plug it. It's called Trust No Aunty, not Auntie. And for the people at home, what is an auntie and why shouldn't you trust them?
An auntie is an older presence in your life that is not necessarily family, but somebody that pretends like they're family and tries to give you advice on what to do with your life, even though they just met you. Yeah, and I think Trust No Aunty, I mean, the book itself revolves around, you know, different kinds of aunties and all that, but it really is about focusing on what you're doing and dodging negative advice or bad advice when you hear it.
How can you avoid growing up and becoming an auntie? Like, what steps should you take?
I think it's inevitable. I mean, I'm going to become an auntie one day. I feel like, you know.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, it's going to happen. You're going to see people kind of do things that you wouldn't do, and a lot of times you just have to bite your tongue and go, you know what? That person has to live their life. I can't do it for them. So I think anybody could become an auntie. You could become an auntie. You know, you just got to be careful. I think you just have to realize that everybody lives their own life and everybody has their own path. And there's nothing that you can say that could change them. Maybe you can influence them or whatever, but I think everybody has to kind of stay in their own lanes and figure things out for themselves. Yeah.
Okay.
So we just were doing a segment on Jeremy Lin and his dreadlocks. Did you hear about it? Were you listening? No, you. Oh, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I
Thanks for
didn't
the
know.
honesty.
Yeah. So we were just basically talking about Jeremy Lin is a basketball player. He's Taiwanese. He got dreadlocks, and people are being critical. And we were having a conversation whether it's appreciation or appropriation. We're wondering what your take is.
I don't know much about the Taiwanese culture, but I think when it comes to, I mean, I don't even know if I have a place to speak on whether somebody should or should not be wearing dreads, but I feel like if the community that is offended by that, if they're saying that they're offended by that, you should probably listen and go, okay, you know, I don't know, apologize or kind of take it back. And I don't know. I mean, I would feel a ways if somebody was, I mean, you know, doing a Indian themed Halloween party or like an Indian themed something and they're not Indian or they're not Desi, I feel like I would be a little bit offended by that. You know, if somebody was just wearing a sari as a costume,
what if they had like a bunch of like Indian friends or something that took them with them and was like they gave them their sari and they were like, come on, dress up with us.
If it's a wedding and you're invited to that, or if it's like a religious thing and you're going there, you know, if there's a religious ceremony, sure. I mean, I feel like that's the sign of respect. You're in the culture, you're in the area where, you know, you have to kind of dress to show your respect. I feel like if you're just doing it because it matches with your outfit that day and you look cool, I think that's like a little bit, don't
You're
do
not about that at all?
That segues really nicely into my question. I want to ask about, you talk a lot, your art talks, it's great by the way, a lot about South Asian culture becoming sort of mainstream, being amalgamated, being used in some ways. Is there a point, like, is it bittersweet, or is ever there a point where you see someone embracing South Asian culture while not being South Asian, that you kind of smile and are like, hey, that's my people there. Does that ever make you feel happy?
I mean, it depends. I don't know. I mean, the book itself was written, I mean, I'm a Desi girl, so I wrote the book for other Desi girls and guys who were kind of growing up in the West, sort of, you know, expressing themselves in kind of that dual personality, or kind of finding that balance between our traditional culture and the Western culture that we adopt, that kind of we appreciate and kind of make our own. So I'm not really sure how I would be, like, I don't know, it depends on the circumstance, really. I don't know. If it was like a specific circumstance where I see, like, okay, I see biryani restaurants are popping up everywhere. I love biryani, you know what I mean? So I'd be like, okay, this is great. Now I have a place where I can go and eat that. But so far it's only butter chicken stuff, so I'm waiting for you guys to catch up a little bit, you know? We have a lot more cuisine.
Does it bug you when Starbucks says chai tea?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It bugs me so much that I've actually gone in there and started asking for it and started correcting people who like say, oh no, it's chai means tea. I'm like, no, it's chai tea latte. It is. It's our word now. I'm just taking it back.
Gracie, I know you had a question.
Yeah, do I have time to ask? So my friend Othman is like your biggest fan ever. And like the second I found out that you were gonna be on the show, I like immediately messaged him and I was like, what do you want me to ask her for you? So he sent back a really thoughtful question and basically just said, you know, right now, more and more we're seeing this emergence of like first generation South Asian identity in Canada, and he cited a lot of like really incredible South Asian Canadians like Jagmeet Singh and Lily Singh and Babu the painter and yourself, and he basically wanted to ask what advice do you have to young South Asians that are like living in Canada and trying to walk the line between two cultures, and how do you embrace your brownness in everyday life?
So I mean, I used to get bullied a lot in school, like elementary school, all throughout, basically even college. Like it was just a constant thing where my brownness was used against me. It was kind of like, you know, you guys are hairy, you smell bad, you're this and that. And then when you realize that the same things, they use the word Paki dot a lot for like the bindis, you know, they use the term like terrace, all this kind of stuff. And then when you're, you know, years pass and you realize that this Paki dot is being worn at Coachella as like, now somebody else is embracing it as something positive, you kind of go, okay. So everything that you said that was wrong with me wasn't actually my problem, it was your problem. So I think embracing your brownness is, I always say, like, believe in yourself before, and, you know, kind of just stop listening to everybody else, which, you know, it's in the book. It's basically dodging bad advice and dodging bad, you know, negativity that kind of comes at you, using your nationality or your skin color as something that you should be ashamed of. And always keep in mind that you're not alone. There's so many people that are going through this with you. When I started my Instagram, I had no idea that anybody else would relate. And constantly, like every single day, I find out that people reach out to me and they go, you know what, I went through the same thing. And that gives me comfort. So I feel like that's one of those things that you just kind of have to believe in yourself and find a network. Like for me, online was really important because I found a community online that let me know that what I was going through wasn't just my experience.
Well, Maria, I think that's some great advice. You know, I'm half Guyanese, which is kind of Indian, and then half white, and so for me it struck a chord.